This just reminds me, did you ever see the story of the LOL?
Yeah.
The mom thought that LOL stood for lots of love, and it was like, mom sent the text message, Grandpa died, LOL. That's so good.
The kids are like, is this a joke?
LOL. Before we start, I feel like I should apologize because my voice is a little out because I was getting lit at karaoke party.
Yeah, how did that go?
It was good.
Did you sing?
Yeah.
Wow, I wouldn't expect you to sing karaoke.
It's not normally my thing, but I'm kind of embracing the whole, like, Jason Mraz philosophy. We're already fools, so we might as well dance.
That's his philosophy. Isn't that just a song lyric?
That's just a song lyric.
It's not a philosophy.
I've made it into a philosophy. That's my new life philosophy. So yeah, I did the karaoke, and
What song did you sing?
I sang a bunch of songs. We did a bunch of group songs at the end too, so it was like a lot of yelling.
Group songs? Like
we just all sing along.
Oh, okay, but not necessarily a song written or sung by a group.
No, just like the whole party is singing. So the party was musical themed. So we tried to pick musical songs.
Broadway or Disney?
Any musicals. Oh yeah, so like we sang Mulan as a group.
I'll Make a Man?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a classic. It's funny, guys actually will sing that song and like that song, as opposed to others that are a little bit more girly Disney songs, you know?
Oh, I would have been happy.
Would you sing Part of My World?
I would have been happy to sing most Disney songs, but not. That's a female vocalist song.
Oh, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Disney songs are fun to sing.
What's your favorite Disney song? What's your favorite Disney movie? And then what's your favorite Disney song?
Okay, probably the best song. I'm gonna go backwards. The best song is "Won't Say I'm in Love" from Hercules.
I don't even know that song.
Oh, it's a classic.
I do like
It's
Hercules, but I don't, for whatever reasons, those songs have never stuck with me. They're just
That's the only one.
Could not sing. What is
or
it called?
Go the Distance.
Oh yeah,
Go the Distance and Won't Say I'm in Love.
Who
Two
sings
classics.
Won't Say I'm in Love?
Meg.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'd be happy to sing that in front of people. That's a female vocalist song. Part of that world or whatever the other one is.
Part of My World.
Part of my world. The Little Mermaid doesn't speak to me.
How could it not? Mermaid.
And I feel like you've snuck me into this mermaid topic. You did it by accident.
Every episode.
But you did it well.
Look out for a Little Mermaid nugget.
Dang. Okay.
So, what's your favorite movie then?
Best movie is probably The Lion King. I think it's got to be The Lion King.
That's a good one. Yeah,
Do you have a favorite song?
Part of My World.
Oh, of course.
The Little Mermaid. Or it's a very close tie with Colors of the Wind, Pocahontas.
Oh,
very close.
That's an interesting choice.
Excuse me, why is that an interesting choice? That is the right choice.
I don't know. I just don't really care for Pocahontas as a movie that much.
That's also tied with The Little Mermaid as my favorite Disney movie.
Yeah, you got some weird choices for Disney movies.
Those are two classics. Classics. Wow. I mean, I can't fault you. The Lion King is a great pick as well, though. Also, The Lion King 2, good movie. And Lion King 1.5, good semi-sequel thing.
I have a question. When you sing songs, like to yourself, if it's like a duet or there are two parts, do you sing both parts, like male and female?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you put on a little bit of a different voice depending on what you need.
Yeah.
But then it's a struggle sometimes when they're singing together and you're like, you just have to pick which one you're going to sing.
Then that's just my voice. That's just my voice, you know?
Sometimes, but like you have to pick which side you're singing. You know, are you going to, so say the girl and the guy, or if it's two guys, two girls, are both singing at the same time, what line are you going to sing? You know, if they're singing different lines.
Oh, different lines. Okay.
Like a different backtrack. And so sometimes, normally, I don't know, sometimes I just pick differently each time. Got to give a little bit of
Well, it's
variety.
like, it depends on the day. Like, if you're having a good day and you're like, I could probably hit the high note, then I'll pick, like, that line of the song. But sometimes I'm like, you know, I'm not feeling it today. I'm going to be the backup vocalist for this line.
Today's not my day. I got to stick with the backup.
You got to know yourself.
The backup.
You got to know yourself. And, like, sometimes you're not the lead singer.
Yeah. So how did people react to your costume? Did they know who you were?
Oh, nobody knew who I was. To be fair, I think that most people don't have a wide knowledge of musicals. I don't, that's for sure. And my costume was from Waitress and basically was a doctor. So it's like, it's not obvious. It's not Cats, right? Like, you know immediately, oh, I know that's from Cats.
Did you wear like a lab coat or something?
No, I could have worn a coat, but...
So you just wore like a stethoscope?
Yeah.
Around nice. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was the best costume?
The best costume by far was the two birthday girls' costumes. They both got like, I don't know, like disco jumpsuits, like red and blue jumpsuits, and it was like that like a shiny material.
Yeah, what is that from?
Was it from?
Yeah, what musical?
I don't know.
Well, how is it the best costume if you don't even know what musical it's from?
I told you I don't know musicals.
Did they say?
I feel like they said, I don't know. There's like, there must be like a disco musical or something, right? Or like they said Dancing Queen a lot. Is that a musical?
Mamma Mia?
Is it Mamma Mia?
Yeah, well, like the recent Mamma Mia movie.
Maybe. Do they have jumpsuits in that movie?
I mean,
they said that movie. They said that name a lot.
ABBA wore a lot of eclectic outfits, so I'm sure at one point they wore disco jumpsuits. Probably for Dancing Queen.
Mamma Mia is ABBA?
Yeah.
Oh.
A Swedish rock band.
Wait, Mamma Mia is about ABBA or written by ABBA?
The movie?
Yeah.
The movie is songs from ABBA into a musical.
Wow. I had no idea.
I don't know if it also has a Broadway origin or if it's just the movies. I'm not certain.
I had no idea.
But that's very weird if they just wore the jumpsuits, because that's not like it was... Well, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if there's a Broadway show as well. I don't know much about it. I just have seen the movies.
Yeah. I mean, the costumes weren't very extreme.
Did anyone dress up as Hamilton?
No. Some guy wore like a Hamilton like star thing, but it was like the most low effort costume. It was like he
just
wrote,
a t-shirt.
like he wrote on a piece of paper and taped it to him, like that style of costume.
That's still effort.
Oh, you know what was a good costume? I'm not sure if this is what it was, but I think this couple dressed up as Tangled. I think.
So Rapunzel and Flynn?
Sure. Like this one, the guy had like sort of like an explorer outfit, I guess. He had like black boots.
Okay.
Like,
did she have...
That's a bad description.
Did she have long blonde hair?
No, actually. But she had a dress. She had short, dark hair.
Oh, well, she did in the movie. She gets her hair cut and it's brown, short and brown.
Maybe. Didn't she have a frying pan in that movie? Okay.
And like a little chameleon.
Well, this woman had frying pan, so I felt like
that must be it.
Yeah.
Where else is there a frying pan?
Yeah.
In a musical.
I mean, I'm not sure what their musical was necessarily, but I did like the costume at least, and sometime maybe that's enough.
So I was going to Mom's, and I was trying to find ingredients to make baba ganoush, which I've never made before. And Mom's has, the eclectic ingredients that normally you need. Essentially, I just needed tahini, which is some weird spice sesame paste thing that apparently you can't not put in baba ganoush. Who knows?
It's pretty important.
I mean, is it? I don't even... It's just like a paste.
It's like a foundational ingredient.
I think I could have done without it.
Anyways.
But yeah, regardless, I had to go to Mom's to find it. So I went there. I'm searching around. I am at this point now where I don't mind asking employees where things are. However, at Mom's, it is very difficult to determine who the employees are because they don't have uniforms, and so you see people that you think may work there but you're not really sure. And so I was kind of just looking around, also just looking to see what's there because I don't go there that often, and I saw a woman with a cart go back to the back room, and I was like, great, this means that she definitely works there, right? Because you're not just gonna go into the back room at some store unless you work there. So I waited for her to come out. I followed her to where she went to the cart, and I asked, oh, can you tell me where the tahini is? And she looked at me and she said, I don't work here. And I thought, oh crap, abort. Because I said, oh no. And then luckily this woman next to her was like, oh, I can show you where the tahini is. Still don't know actually if that girl worked there or not. She had no name tag or anything like that.
She was just a helpful person.
She could have been. It's entirely possible. So she showed me to where the tahini is. Now, to back up, at this point, I had already grabbed a tub of tzatziki sauce because I had looked at it. It was from Kava, which was the restaurant we had just recently gone to, and it looked interesting. And I grabbed it because I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll get this, maybe not, probably not. But if I couldn't find the tahini, I'll just get this instead because not to substitute.
This is not a substitute.
Just because, for my efforts. I thought I wanted to at least go away with something. But I had already grabbed this and I had went down the aisle to get the tahini. So I had that. I had the tahini and I thought I could put the tzatziki back now because I don't need it. But that would require me going back over to where that lady was who said, I don't work here. I just didn't want that confrontation. I didn't want her. I would have had to reach right over her to return it to the shelf. And I thought, I just can't do that. I can't.
She was a sentry
at her
guard post.
I just knew that she didn't want me to bother her again. She didn't want me to be near her again. So I said, you know what? To heck with it. I'm going to purchase this tzatziki sauce and the tahini. So I bought both.
I just like that you bought something that you didn't even want or need to buy anymore. Just so you could get out of walking past a woman that you had a miscommunication with.
Yeah, well, in all fairness, I really enjoyed the tzatziki sauce. I'm still eating it now. It's great. It's great with some pita. Great if you mix with the baba ganoush, which I ended up making the baba ganoush. It's a happy outcome. It's all good. Even though I bought this extra $6 tzatziki sauce that I did not need. But really, I think the lesson in this story is that mom's employees need to start wearing uniforms. How are you supposed to know who to ask? I guess you could ask the people at the register, but I don't want to interrupt them because they're, checking people out.
I feel like this is the vibe that Moms is going for. When you go to Moms, there aren't employees and customers. There's just family.
Oh, come off of it.
And
Moms.
They're selling community, and you go in there, it's your local farmer is in there selling his wares.
Are you trying to get us a mom sponsorship?
Not sponsored by Moms. We're not sponsored. But it's like the community is helping you. Anybody there.
My interaction with them have never been community field. I feel like I should maybe explain why I hate Moms so much. Essentially, I applied for a job with them when I was 16, a young babe. And I went to the interview. I thought it went fairly well. Probably in retrospect, it was terrible because I was 16 and it was my first job interview. And they ended it by saying, we are going to call you to let you know. And then they said, and we will call you either way, yes or no, because they said, we hate when people do that, and we understand that's a terrible thing to do to people, to leave them hanging, so we will call you and let you know. I'm still waiting for the call. That's all I'm saying. I am 25 now, waiting for that call from when I was 16.
I understand your frustration. Don't get me wrong. I really do understand. But you need to let it go. It's been nearly a decade.
I just want the courtesy call.
And
they could call me today and I would be happy. I would accept the apology.
The quality of your life is just greatly reduced by you holding on to this
grudge.
Anger inside of you.
I don't know. I think it's fueling me. It's keeping me going. Without this, I'd have no point to continue forward. I wouldn't have something grounding me. But I'm still waiting. If anyone from Moms, they want to call out, I'll accept the apology. I still shop there, so the grudge isn't that strong, I guess.
It's not, yeah. You haven't even gone full boycott.
I bet the person that interviewed me, they probably don't even work there anymore. They're long gone.
Whenever I go to Moms, the people are extremely helpful.
Are they the employees or just customers that are helpful? How do you know? You don't.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's the people, it's the person that counts.
It's just a food store. They just sell organic, niche foods that are vegetarian, vegan friendly normally.
They're pretty niche foods, that's for sure.
And they're freaking expensive.
Okay, but actually the person that helped me out was for sure an employee because she definitely went to the back and went through their stock.
That doesn't necessarily mean anything.
I think
what have we learned from my story? It doesn't mean anything.
You saw somebody go to the bathroom.
She was at a cart full of items to go in. I'm telling you.
I think that you missaw whatever you saw.
I don't think so. I'm thinking maybe she was another vendor that was stocking or something like that.
So she was a worker.
Well, not necessarily. No, I think you could be a vendor from maybe, say, another company that came to drop off your wares, but for whatever reason she was stocking the actual shelf.
But then that's not...
Maybe she was just messing with me. She actually did work there, but she just did not want to answer my question.
I guess so. I
don't know. But I guess it all worked out. I got some baba ganoush that's edible, and I got some tzatziki dip that's delicious.
Yeah, and I do understand your not wanting to see that woman again. I definitely avoid confrontation when it's unnecessary, in my opinion. So, like, when I went to Mom's and was looking, I was trying to get vitamins, because if I don't take vitamins on my diet, I just die.
Oh, yeah.
It's critical. So I'm looking for, like, 1-a-day multivitamins for vegans, and I can't find anything, and the woman is like, oh, I can help you find that, and they were out of stock, so that's why she had to go back to go look for them, and she must have searched for, like, 5-10 minutes. It felt like a lifetime. So, like, she was really trying to help me out. And she came back with the bottle, and it's like, oh, here it is, the multivitamins that you asked for. And this multivitamin had just, like, 4 vitamins in it. It had, like, vitamin A, C, D, E, like, none of the stuff that I need to continue surviving on a daily basis. But it had taken her, like, 10 minutes to find this stuff, and she was so excited to help me. And I was like, I can't tell this woman that I don't want these vitamins. So I just said, oh, thank you so much. This is so great. And I just walked away and put them on a different shelf and left.
See, I would have bought those.
Yeah, but the difference there is I'm too frugal.
No, see, yeah, that's funny, because that is one of the things with Moms. They are more expensive than others. But, like, my awkwardness and not want confrontation means that I will just pay. I will pay even if it's a lot.
This is like a $30 faux pas for me if I buy these vitamins.
Oh, are they that expensive?
The vitamins there are crazy expensive.
Oh, see, maybe I wouldn't go that high. It's hard. Those are two very strong things with me that would war against each other.
I need to go into personal debt in order to avoid telling this woman that I don't want what she helped me with.
Wow, and then she probably walked around the store at the end of the day and saw those vitamins on the shelf and thought, wow.
That's the worst part.
Couldn't even have the courtesy to put them back with other vitamins or give them back to me and I could put them back. He just put them on the corner somewhere, dejected.
That's the worst part, is like when I put them down in the wrong place and I was torn. I was like, do I want to hide these behind the shelf so that she doesn't see that I put them back?
I want to make it even harder for them to restock this later.
Yeah. Or do I want to put them out in the open so that somebody can put it in the correct place, but then they know that I didn't buy them? Life is tough when you're shy.
It really is, isn't it? Pluto, the dog of Goofy. Pluto is a dog, but Goofy's also a dog. But Pluto can't talk and Goofy can talk. What does that mean? It really doesn't make sense though, right? They're both dogs.
Well, like, you know how, like, sometimes people are born and, like, they can't talk?
What? You mean all people?
No,
all people are born and they can't talk, yes.
No, like, some people are...
That is how it works.
Some people are born mute. Like, they can never talk.
Oh, okay.
Ever. They don't acquire the ability. You know how that happens sometimes?
But, okay. So I think you're applying
this to Pluto. You know how we keep those people as pets?
But we don't chain them up, give them a doghouse, and say, you're my new dog.
But, like, Pluto, obviously, he has other developmental issues than just speaking. Like, he can't even walk upright like Goofy can. Also, is Goofy a dog?
Yeah, I'm not even
sure if Goofy is a dog.
I looked it up. He's a dog.
I think that's questionable. I would actually...
He's definitely a dog.
I'd like to look into that.
He's a dog.
I've never seen a dog that looks like that. At least Pluto looks like a dog.
Because he walks. He walks on 2 legs. So that looks a little different than normal dogs.
I don't think that's it. I don't think that's the part that sets it apart.
I think that's it. Okay, let's go to the
second
story.
Pluto. The Pluto-themed episode.
The Pluto planet.
I wanted to do a lighter topic than the last Eppy. But then
you realized
we took a trip to the
there is
space
no light in this world. It's all dark.
That's what we are. A podcast about all the darkest things that you can't talk about with your friends. So we went to the Space Museum, and they have so many shops in the museum selling merchandise, and it's, all sorts of air and space related material. So now all of the things that have the solar system printed on them, they don't include Pluto as a planet anymore. Obviously, because it's not classified as a planet anymore. And for some reason, this is a topic that people feel so strongly about, that Pluto should be a planet. I'm not really sure why.
Well, I had to think about this a bit, because I wouldn't say I ever had a strong opinion, but I always would lean towards, yeah, it should be a planet, because, I don't know, it just felt right. But I was trying to think about it some more and look up the arguments for and against, and I think I've come to this conclusion. Yes, it should be a planet. And one of the arguments against is that there are other Pluto-sized objects in that, what is it, the belt or wherever that Pluto is?
The Kuiper belt?
Yeah, the Kuiper belt.
Were you waiting for me to say it so that you know how to pronounce it?
Yes. Thanks. So there's other Pluto-sized planets there, or objects, and I think they should all become planets. That's my thought, right? Pluto's a planet, they're planets. Let's be inclusive. Let's have them all be planets. I mean, yes.
It's 2018, the year of inclusivity.
Exactly. You want to be a planet? You can be a planet. I think that's great.
Pluto identifies as a planet.
I think if we asked Pluto, it would identify as a planet. So I know that might mean a lot of more planets, but let's be real. I mean, we don't really need to know all the planets. Like, we can just leave that to the scientists to know all the, ins and outs of each planet. However, did you also see that one of the Pluto-sized objects, the planet name, well, planet I use with quotes, is Makemake?
I'm fairly certain that that's not how to pronounce that.
It's Makemake.
All right, we'll go with that.
What do you think it would be? Maki Maki?
Probably.
Regardless, it's my new favorite Pluto-sized object, i.e. planet. But yeah, there's my thoughts.
Let's take a step back for a second, because first I want to define what is a planet, because there is now a strict or relatively strict definition by some astronomical body of what makes a planet. There's pretty obvious bits to it. It has to be in orbit around the sun. It must be massive enough to be rounded by its own gravity. That rules out like asteroids and smaller rocks that are just like lumpy blocks rolling around the solar system. And then the part that Pluto fails is that it must have cleared the neighborhood around its orbit, which means that there isn't other debris and objects in the orbit. And Pluto, it doesn't fulfill that requirement, right?
Are those its little Kuiper belt buddies?
Yeah, so those are objects that sort of follow the same orbit. Yeah, it's a bunch of the Kuiper belt objects.
So is Pluto the largest? Even though it said that they're similar to Pluto size, is it the largest, and is that why it was once considered a planet?
I think that Pluto is the largest dwarf planet in the solar system. Mm-hmm. There's a couple of others. There's two others that are pretty close in size. I think Pluto originally was a planet because it was detected first. For some reason, I think the other dwarf planets are obscured by larger bodies, so it's harder to detect their effects and find them. But yeah, it turns out that even the definition of the planet, it's not even completely agreed upon in the community. Like there's no vote on the guidelines to do it, so there was just some committee that came up with it. But based off of the definition, I feel like it just has to be that Pluto is not a planet.
I feel like Pluto's the underdog. It's a small... It'd be different if this was a large planet or object, whatever. I don't know. I feel like because it's small, it's at the end, it's just this thing of why take it away and lead it to a life of obscurity. It seems harsh.
Pluto is this like baby rock at the edge of the solar system. It's smaller than the moon. It's lumpy. It's not perfect. You gotta take Pluto off the pedestal.
See, when you describe it, it just sounds like a little baby, like a little infant, and I just wanna hold it.
Okay, let me step back. It's not like a baby. It's not a cute baby.
It's a cute baby.
It's an ugly, lumpy rock.
Oh, so it's like the ugly friend or
It's
the
like,
ugly little
yeah,
kid
when
that
you
gets
look-
no attention?
You look back and you're like, wow, I can't believe I was friends with that ugly person.
Oh, that's just mean. I would never. Now I definitely want it to be a planet.
You can't have pity for those ugly people. You gotta just cast them out.
No.
Let them go. You gotta make the rest of the solar system look nicer.
You gotta cut them out. No. We need to. What's a higher status than planet? We need to make Pluto even higher status than planet. It deserves all the best.
Thoughts and prayers, Pluto. Float away. Maybe try a different galaxy.
It could be the top at another point. Well, it's the top among the other little Kuiper Belt.
It's the leader of the
objects.
dwarves.
Yeah.
That's something, right? That's worth something.
I think we should just all make them planets, though. They'd have a great time.
I like that, going in the other extreme. Just like, yeah, if it's like floating around the sun, like that's a planet, guys. Come on.
Make it very difficult for kids when they're trying to learn the solar system. We probably would just cut it out.
Mom, I gotta memorize 11,000 planets for next Monday.
You have to make the, solar system diagrams or whatever that you'd always have to make, and so you'd
Yeah,
have
like the mobile.
70 different little tiny balls that you'd have to arrange around. Be a long project.
Are you interested in space news? Does space
No.
stuff excite you at all?
Unless there's aliens involved. Not really. Though I will say that all the news with Mars was pretty interesting when they were seeing if they found water, and I do think we'll get to a point where we will try to move to other planets. I feel like that's just going to be a natural progression, especially since we're destroying our own planet. So we'll just, naturally go to another planet and destroy that planet, because that's how we are as people. But other than Mars info, not really. Though I don't know if there is much with other planets out there. I mean, are there new Saturn news every day, or?
I don't really see the planet news very often. I think that there is new stuff coming out relatively frequently, because there's always the probes that are taking new pictures.
Also,
collecting more
though,
data.
wasn't there a photo of Pluto released where it had like the Mickey ears or something like that? I don't know. I'm just calling back to when we were talking about Pluto as a dog.
I thought you were gonna say like, so a probe recently passed by Pluto and took high res photos of it.
Yeah.
This was it might have been a year ago now, but relatively recently they had like the first high res photos of Pluto, and it turns out that Pluto is kind of like pinkish colored rock. It looks like, and it's got like a heart shape on it in the
that's
craters.
what I'm talking about. Yeah, it was like a heart shape / Mickey Mouse eerie.
I wouldn't have
Maybe.
called it Mickey Mouse ears.
I can't remember.
I thought you were talking about
ago.
Mickey Mouse ears superimposed upon it.
No.
But no, I'm talking like they took a picture and it's like, oh, Pluto's just a pink heart planet just floating out there in the edge.
Even worse that we've cast it aside now.
You said we would just destroy another planet if we went to it. Do you think that people are fundamentally destructive?
Well, I think our footprint is fundamentally destructive. And I think we're trying to make changes. But I think any large population size like that, there's just going to be repercussions for that many people.
I tend to agree with you. Like, when you have so many people around, there is an effect. Like, those people consume things. And it's really hard to imagine a huge group, or it's really hard to imagine people in general, like, living in perfect sync with their environment, like, where there's, like, a net zero input or output of things. But part of the reason I ask is because I've seen this pop up a lot recently, consuming versus creating. And this kind of like goes through your life in general. It's not just an environmental thing, but when you look at your life and how you live, what percentage of the time are you consuming things? Not necessarily just food and resources, but like consuming media or art or things that other people have created versus the percentage of time that you are actually creating something yourself. And so I found, like, for myself, that percentage is like wildly in favor of consuming. And I think that that's the way for a lot of people. Like, most people, I think, spend a lot of their time consuming content that has been created by other people. And maybe there's like a 10% of the total population that are like fundamentally creative and they just keep putting out things. But I think that maybe that's not great for your life. Like, I don't think I'm satisfied with it. And that's part of the reason that I like recording this podcast. It's because it feels like a creative outlet for some things that we don't get in a lot of other places.
It's a good point. Nothing to add.
Well, are you predominantly a consumer?
Oh, yeah.
Are you satisfied with it?
I'm okay with it. I don't know if I would say satisfied. I wouldn't consider myself the most creative person, so I don't know if those kind of avenues would fulfill me. But I guess it depends upon your definition of what creating is. You know, because it could just be something related to work or something like that, where you're just outputting something into the world that's good as opposed to taking something from the world.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't consider myself a creative person, but I define creative as creative in the sense of like the act of creation. Like, I don't think that this podcast is like a creative work of art. Like, I'm not like breaking new ground over here with things that I'm saying, but I am creating something, right? Like, I am saying things and I am recording them, and there is a creative process to it, even if the end result isn't this like good piece of content.
This work of art, Mona Lisa levels of art. We'll get there one day.
Anyways, yeah, I feel like there's something more. I feel like I need to do more than just consume things in life. It's not satisfying to just have a life where it's almost like you're on autopilot. You don't have to do anything or make anything because it's all there waiting for you. So I try to notice that when I can, because...
Do you not find your work creative in the sense that you're doing something that is an output instead of an input?
Nah, even a little bit.
I thought you were saying, nah. Nah, man.
No, work can be creative depending on your job, and I think like that could fulfill that role, but for me, my work is not a creative work.
But what about the fact that you're creating... I don't understand your work, but you're creating kits or whatever science equipment stuff that you need to give to someone else who's doing research or something like that. So what you're doing is helping push further research or whatever is happening in the scientific world.
Yeah, but...
Is that too far removed from what you're doing that you can't see the output really, or the end result?
It's a bit like that. It's a bit like being like just a cog in the machine. Mm-hmm. But really, a big part of it is, I don't know, maybe other people have illusions that like their scientific work is more important than it is. But my view on it is kind of like, at work, I'm basically a robot, and I'm a robot where somebody hands me samples and they say, do this to the samples. And I do it, and I give them back. And like, yeah, okay, those samples might go on to help some other laboratory make a discovery that is interesting to humans, but I'm just a robot in the process. So my level of contribution, it's not meaningful to me.
So you are looking for something that's a little bit more creative by the known definition of creative, where, you know, it's a little bit more where you're kind of putting out something new or different.
Yeah, and on my own terms, right? When I do work, I just have to follow the instructions that I'm given. When we record a podcast, we decide what goes in and what comes out. That's
so weird to me, because in my work, I feel like I have to be a lot more creative with certain things. But I love the repetition of monotonous work. God. I love it. There's something, I just love the system of it. That's why I, for the most part, enjoyed working customer service and working at registers at Walmart, because you go through and you scan things, and that's, you know, it's a set job. It's a set, there's no outliers, you don't know, you know, nothing's going to happen that you aren't expecting for the most part. There's a system in place. And I really love that, and that's why I like working with say numbers or entering things into databases or things like that where you're putting it in. You're not really, it doesn't require too much creative thinking. Mm-hmm. I love stuff like that. I don't know if I would be fulfilled if I did that all the time, but I actually do really enjoy it.
Well, yeah, there's a certain comfort to having a system and a routine. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody feels that to some extent. And when you know what your job is and exactly what to do, you don't have to worry about the outliers, like you said. Mm-hmm. It's not as stressful. There's not as much pressure. There's not as many unknowns.
And I will say that it gives you plenty of time to listen to podcasts because you don't have to be thinking about what you're writing or
there you go.
Things. So you can listen to a nice little podcast like Small Fries.
Yeah, there you go. Human robot employees. You can listen to Small Fries while you scan item after item.
I think that's one of the reasons that podcasts became so popular because a lot of people that do work that you really don't need to be devoted too much in terms of you can have something in your ears, you can have music playing, you can have words talking, and people thought, why don't we listen to something that's interesting or engaging or sometimes things that are it will teach you new things, podcasts that you can learn, or just nice lazy chat podcasts where you can just listen to people talk.
Yeah,
because it's just a nice way to fill that void of you're doing monotonous work and you can learn about something new or just hear some people talk about things. You can be engaged in another way.
Definitely. Yeah, I think people in those jobs definitely use the podcast as a form of distraction from the monotony. And that's why I think sometimes these like unscripted conversational podcasts, they can do well and become popular with people because it's just a distraction. It doesn't matter what the people are saying, but it's a familiar voice in your ear and you might be interested in their perspective or their personality, and you don't have to pay perfect attention to everything. And honestly, even when people listen to educational podcasts while they're working, I think you can't go into that assuming that you're going to retain any of the information that you're hearing because you're working on another task at the same time. There's just no way that your brain can process both pieces and remember it. And so I think so the major purpose of the podcast is the distraction and is the comfort of listening to voices.
That's why I listen to my educational podcast when I'm driving, because I don't need to pay attention when I drive. It's fine. I can pay sole attention on the podcast. There's no reason that I need to actually watch when I'm driving.
I know you're joking, but driving is a robotic task.
I know. And it really is.
You don't need to pay 100% attention all the time as long as you have certain cues for when you do need to pay attention and things that you know to focus on.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of stories where people say that they get in the car and then they end up at the place that they're going to and they thought, I don't remember driving this at all.
Yeah.
You just get there and you're like, oh, I'm here already. What happened to that last half hour, 45 minutes that I was in the car? Something happened.
And at first glance it's scary, but it's not really scary. It's just...
I think it's terrifying. It's like cars, they're machines. They're giant industrial-sized machines that can kill you. And they're just like, people are driving them without even thinking. And it's not their fault. It's just that's what happens. It's weird. It's weird how our brains process that, where we've kind of gotten over the fact that they're like death traps. And we're like, oh, it's fine. We can just drive on autopilot. It's cool. Your brain isn't on alert anymore, really.
Well, I feel like this is a triumph of your brain. Like, it's not scary because your brain has evolved to be able to do that. And it picks up the slack. So it's not like you're driving without thinking. It's not like you're just like running through every red light on the way to work. It's like your brain knows red means stop, green means go, turn left at here, go straight on the highway, and it has all of those instructions ingrained in it. And so you don't need to do like active thinking, like processing thinking. Mm-hmm. It's just like the memory thinking.
Still think it's scary. But yeah, it is also kind of amazing. We'll go with amazing so that I'm not terrified to drive again all the time. Pretty soon it will just be self-driving. Will you get a self-driving car if they ever come out? Well, I guess the big question is, will self-driving cars come out in our lifetime?
Yes.
I mean, technically they're already out.
I think they will be common in our lifetime. And to answer your question, I would get a self-driving car when I would be able to do so, like when I could afford it. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's the way it's going to work. I think that it will switch pretty quickly into being like a not crowdsourced, but like a crowd-shared system. Like, you don't own a car because you don't need to own a car. You just page a car when you need to go somewhere.
Oh, so kind of like a taxi service.
Right. Except the system will be way better. You won't wait for a car. There will be a car waiting for you. That
sounds cool. I never thought of that. I was always just thinking like everyone would buy a car and it would be a self-driving car, but it would have that, like, I guess I was thinking it could switch to, manual driving, but I don't know if aren't they trying to say that they think that the best would be for everyone to be self-driving because they're trying to figure out the human aspect, of how they can predict how self-driving cars will drive, but it's hard to predict the human factor because humans are all different, so they'll respond to different situations differently. So I thought I've heard arguments before that said that self-driving cars will only work if every car on the road is a self-driving car.
No, I don't agree with that, because I think if that's the case, then that means the self-driving cars aren't technologically advanced enough to do their job properly. Mm-hmm. Because part of the thing with driving is that, yes, a lot of it, 95% of the time, is repetitive and the same thing and routine, set-in-stone protocols. But there is that 5% of the time where it's an unknown situation and it needs to be able to read a situation and say, like, okay, I need to go off the road here, or I need to stop following the script.
Well, I think the interesting question to me has always been how it will determine certain situations, like what to do. So for instance, say something was going to happen where the car could either turn off and hit a pedestrian, mm-hmm. or continue and kill the person in the car, like how will it decide what to do? Because that would be the car making a decision on life or death, whereas it would be, the person. And I don't know the answer to that. I think that's a really interesting question too.
I've heard this question so many times now, mm-hmm. because it's just a different version of the trolley problem from like the classic philosophy problem, but applied to self-driving cars. I've just started to get frustrated with it because it's starting to feel like it's just an easy way to set back self-driving cars. And in reality, we're talking about a pretty fringe case where a car is going to have to make a decision like that. I don't know. Like, self-driving cars are going to be a net benefit, mm-hmm. if they exist the way we imagine them. There are going to be less accidents, less fatal accidents than humans driving cars. Why do we need to pay so much attention to the situation that's going to happen so infrequently?
Yeah, I don't think that should deter further, exploration into self-driving cars, but I do think it will be interesting to see because I think it's going to have to be some kind of choice or some kind of statement in terms of what the choice will be for the cars. It will have to be, is the main goal to always protect the driver, or is it to always protect pedestrians or things like that? Because they will, since so many people have, brought that up, I think that's going to have to be addressed before people will be satisfied to some degree.
Here's the thing. A self-driving car is going to replace a human driver if it is just better than a human, right? Mm-hmm. Or it should, in my opinion. So, like, what does a human do in that scenario? The human makes, like, a split-second calculation of, like, how can I cause the least amount of damage here? So, like, if you see that you're going to hit a person on the road in front of you and you're speeding and you don't have time to do all the calculations, you say, okay, well, I'm going to veer off and not hit this person. And if you see that there's people on the sidewalk randomly in the same spot that you're going to veer, you have to make a calculation yourself. Like, I'll try to swerve and miss both of them, or it's just... This situation could be applied to people too, but it just doesn't really happen. Mm-hmm. I think you want the car to protect the driver, but, like, if I saw a person on the road in front of me and I was like, well, I'm not going to veer off the road because I'm afraid I might hurt myself, that's crazy. Nobody drives like that.
Yeah, no one thinks that way.
And you expect the car to protect you. Like, the physical car is protecting you in a crash. So why can't a self-driving car just be programmed to say, I can run a million calculations in the same amount of time that a human would do this, and here's the calculation that provides the least amount of damage to humans. I think people get caught up on the fact that people will still die in these accidents. There will still be accidents, and people will die, and people get caught up like, oh, a robot is going to kill a person. But that's not what we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on the part that we're gaining so much safety overall. No system's ever going to be perfect.
So, back to the trolley question. What would you do in that scenario? There's 3 people on a track, train's coming for them, it's going to kill all of them, or there's a lever that you can pull that will switch the train to another track where you'll kill one person. But by switching it, you would be the actual murderer. You physically murder them with a lever.
Yeah, I get that there's kind of arguments on both sides here, but in this sort of like thought experiment thing, to me it's just a utilitarian question of like, which option kills fewer people. So you have to switch to the one track with one person.
I agree.
Again, it's like people get caught up on the fact that, oh, if you throw the lever, you are a murderer of that one person. But in the same way, if you don't throw the lever, you are making a conscious decision to kill 3 people.
Yeah, so you're also a murderer.
Inaction is still a decision.
That's exactly how I think. Gonna kill that person.
And that's what a self-driving car should be able to do as well. In this
make the decision to do the thing that will hurt the less amount of people.
Right. But yeah, I'm really excited for the time when self-driving cars are common in our life, because I think a lot, when you think about it, how often do you actually use your car in a day? Like, the percentage that you're using the car is so tiny compared to the total day. And it's important, you need to own the car the whole day to be able to get the benefits of driving when you need it. But when self-driving cars come, you don't need to own the car, because you can just get the car when you need to drive somewhere. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I mean, technically, couldn't you do that now if you just ordered a taxi all the time? Or, I mean, I know the logistics are difficult now because it will take a while for a taxi to come, depending on where you live, if you live more rural compared to city. But that's technically kind of the same thing.
I'm not sure if it would be economically feasible, and certainly not like convenience-wise. Because here's what I think will happen. When you work, you know that you need to drive to work at a certain time every day, and you need to go home at a certain time every day. And the cars are going to know that about you, right? They know your schedule. It says Monday through Friday, I need a car at my door at 8 a.m. to get me to work at 9 a.m. That car will just be waiting there for me to take me to work.
You could also just get a personal taxi guy that you have by number. You call up, you say, we're going to go through a schedule, okay?
Every morning.
Monday morning through Friday morning. I want you to be at my house 8 a.m. sharp. And then you say, and then you're going to pick me up at such and such building for my work at 5 p.m. every day. You just get on that personal basis. You'll have a nice man or woman that you can chat with the whole time. If you're into that, I probably wouldn't want to be talking. We all know that I'm awkward with people, so... Yeah, but it's possible.
It's technically possible to do it that way, although it certainly seems like there's a reason that people don't do it.
Yeah, I will say I haven't heard many people do this as a thing.
But the nice thing about it is that it would all be essentially automated. And
I think that sounds really cool. I'll be down.
Extremely convenient and cheaper.
And probably less cars.
Less cars, yeah.
Which would be nice, because we have a lot of cars.
Yeah, because you have to imagine, like, you can essentially share cars with strangers. Like, not ride in the same car at the same time.
But multiple people can use one car.
Yeah, multiple people can use one car, whereas now, to try to coordinate that would be extremely painstaking.
Mm-hmm. This sounds really cool, but I can just envision so many people not cool with it. Like, can you not just imagine people be, I want my car. Back in the day, I had my own car.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, like the outcry on it will be so. But you know, hopefully it would.
I know
go down
there's a
eventually.
lot. For some reason, there's a lot of people that this idea doesn't appeal to them, and they really like having their own car. They really like owning the car itself and driving. And I will agree, I do enjoy driving, sort of like highway driving, because it's kind of meditative to just drive somewhere, and you can kind of let your mind wander and listen to podcasts. But you can still do that in the future.
Yeah, I read an article about how that will be the new thing will be there be these back country highway roads that people can go drive to, like for pleasure when
That's
you know
an interesting
when
thought.
everyone is using their
After
automated
everything
cars.
is a high-speed highway.
Yeah, like you'll still be able to go to these back roads or whatever that will be specifically for people driving. That will be like a recreational activity.
It makes sense, right? Because we don't usually phase out old technology completely. Mm-mm. It usually still exists in some form, even if it is some sort of weird, like, throwback recreational use to remember the good old days.
We can't get rid of those good old days. More disease, but they were good.
That's a conversation for another Eppy.